Miscellaneous 6B is discussion of an ordinance amending open burning rules under solid waste control and an application permit. There was quite a bit of information, and Adam, would you like to speak to it?
This is just a discussion item tonight. I'm still trying to formulate what you like. If you like what you see here tonight, or if you have any touch-ups, just let me know. What this includes is the changes that were presented to me as part of the committee. I was asked to include provisions for an application fee of $25, which you'll see built into the application form. The application form, to some degree, is built upon our animal control ordinance form. I asked you to take a look at it, see if you think there's any modifications that not only need to be made to the ordinance, but to the application itself.
A couple of suggestions I would have would be to have a contingent or a contingency person in the event that the administrator is not present, perhaps the city clerk as an alternate to approve it. And you know, I just like what everyone else's input is with regard to seeking the approval of all the neighbors within 200 feet. Is that?
Well, if you look at the way the application reads, it doesn't say that you're looking for permission. What you are required to do is ask them if they are approve or protest of your application. So that way when we go in, we know whether or not a neighbor is protesting to this action.
Okay.
It gives us an opportunity to follow up with that neighbor to find out what the basis of their protest is prior to making a determination.
And so if we have a neighbor that's protesting,
It doesn't preclude doing it, it just makes us aware.
I guess my issue with that is if somebody wants to burn and the neighbor doesn't want them to burn, who are you going to give permission to? Why do you think one person's better than the other? I think it's going to open up an issue that, I mean, do you have to have one person say no, two people say no, three people say no?
Too much judgment in it.
Just do it.
Personally, if I were a neighbor and I had somebody in my family that had respiratory issues and you gave them permission to burn and something happened to that person, I would have some real big issues with it.
Did you have some
That is
comments?
why I'm here. I am just one voice to protest eliminating the ban on open burning. We have a very enthusiastic burner in our neighborhood, and he has no conscience about starting a big fire that just gags you. And if it doesn't burn well, he pours what I presume is used motor oil on it to make it burn. And you have the house all closed up, you can still smell it, and we don't dare leave home for 5 minutes without closing everything up.
I would say that's something that needs to be reported, doesn't it?
You shouldn't be reporting that.
Well, he's perfectly, it's
Yeah,
legal, isn't it?
No, you
You
can't.
can't use burning oil,
You can't use
or any
Well,
other
how,
gas.
I can't prove that.
Yeah,
And that's the problem with that, you're right,
Yeah.
how do you,
I can't prove it.
But
And he occasionally burns during the banned period, but only on weekends when there's nobody here to report it to.
You can still report it to the police department.
911.
I mean, we went around knocking several subjects this year when they tried burning, before the burning ban.
And my next question is now if you open it up for unlimited and he has to have a permit and he starts burning, can I find out if he has a permit? I don't know whether he would think that was necessary.
It would just be like any other permit process we have in place. They would have to have it available during the event so that they could prove that they have permission to do it.
I didn't know if that was,
You could ask the city.
And that's something we should put in there, maybe the event would be 24 hours or less.
Yeah,
So they
Well,
can't start to get a permit and then go for 3 weeks of burning.
Right.
okay, then what happens, they say they're gonna burn on such and such a day and the wind is 30 miles an hour. they
One
gotta
of
pay
the-
another $25 to get another permit for another day.
Doesn't it give them, when I read it, doesn't it
2
give them like 2 weeks' time, but they have to do, if they start a fire, they can't let it burn for several days. What he's meaning is that they have 2 weeks to do it, but the fire has to be extinguished within 24 hours, is that what you're saying? That's what I understood him to say.
Doesn't the current ordinance say that within 24 hours? I thought you-
Actually, it says that it has to be fully out by a certain time in the evening.
Right.
And if you look at the way the changes are included, actually, it actually says 7 to 10. And the changes would actually still be subject to the wind limitations and the time periods. It would simply just be outside of the scope of dates.
So if it's smoldering and making a lot of nasty smoke at 10 o'clock at night, is that a reason that you could do something about it?
I mean, it's a hard one when they get the fire out and it's still, burning.
Well, then, what I'm saying is if we're supposed to be able to put this into effect,
You know, I think we're just making it too easy. I think there has to be a reason why they need the permit. You know, I just don't see why, in the amount of time that we give people to burn, they can't get their stuff burned. You know,
Oh,
if we have a storm, I can see doing this, but I think, you know, as a council, we have the right to lift our burn ban for a week or two if we would have something like that happen. I just think it's not necessary.
You mean this
Yes.
addition period?
I mean, this whole thing here with the permit, I mean, we have the right to do whatever we wish without even doing this. I just think we're opening this up for no reason. Because, I mean, they have plenty of time to burn.
Or perhaps a question or statement in here, why aren't you able to accomplish it within the specified period of time that are already allotted?
I just don't think we should make it simple to get.
I agree. The only thing I like to see it is, if a guy cuts down a tree and doesn't wanna hire somebody to haul the son of a gun, all of the branches and stuff away, they can do a little orderly burn. That's the only time I can see it being, I don't see this being used only once a year. If they're just gonna wanna burn, you can have a recreational fire anytime you want, right, John?
Yep.
As long as you got a hot dog in front of them.
Marshmallows.
if they know that they wanna cut down a tree though, couldn't they cut it down?
Burn that down?
Yeah, but you never know when you need to cut down a tree. Hell, this smoke belt going through, our neighborhood, every darn tree's dying up there.
Is it Oakville?
Yeah. And with evergreens, there's wilt coming through that now. Scotch and ponderosa pine are all gonna die here in the next couple of years.
Adam needs some direction here.
So, you folks would like to see, kind of, I'm reading between the lines, would you not, if there was this exception gonna be made, would you not like it to have the names of the surrounding neighbors, and if you agree to it or protest it, would you like that provision still in there? Here's what I'm talking about.
I don't know if it needs to be that complicated, but I just wanted to make
Let's say
my
someone's
thoughts
gonna
known.
just ask all the surrounding neighbors, approve protest of any neighbor that's within 200 feet.
No, I don't want to.
I would, kind of what you're saying, you'd at least like to have that perhaps in one person. Okay. I think it probably is a good idea to list the neighbors like it is here. Yeah, and another thing too, now, that you folks are having this problem, are there very many other folks like you that have the, people that are burning a lot, that creates problems, for health reasons, respiratory, or just annoyance? Is this a common thing other than?
It's just an annoyance for us,
Okay,
and I haven't visited with anybody else about it,
okay.
so I don't know. Maybe that's about it.
Like Jimmer Bill said, have a reason, I mean, if they're gonna play, have a reason why they couldn't get it done.
I
And
think
have
That's
it-
all I think you ought to have a simple reason to do it, but it's gotta be a reason to do it, just not because they wanna burn some old oil barrels or something.
If I had my way, we'd have a total burn ban.
Why didn't they do it during the allotted time, I would say, is the
Or why
question
can't they
I
hold
have.
off till the fall?
Right,
You know, I don't wanna add another item onto the agenda or bring it up again, but, you know, like the individual that Bev and Dale are talking about, you know, and obviously this is somebody that's abusing the situation. Other than maybe the police going to visit with them, what other teeth do we have, you know, to help control a situation like that? I mean, this is the type of thing that annoys me to the point where I would almost want to consider a burn ban altogether. In fact, I was really on the borderline to begin with to even pass any burning whatsoever. You know, when I was in practice here, well, it doesn't matter where it is in Carroll. You know, I hear of people that are bothered by smoke, and this is a real problem. So when I get somebody like this that's abusing it, that just about pushes me to the point where let's consider the burn ban, banning it altogether. If we have abusive, you know, people like this, they're the ones that are pushing the envelope, that are really creating a situation where they're gonna ruin it for everybody. If they don't take responsibility, a few bad apples can make a real problem, and I see this as being one of them, and I'm serious.
I agree.
It won't take very much for me to bring up another resolution, just banning it altogether.
John, do we have a fine in place for people that,
Well, it's a fine, I mean, they can be charged. I mean, usually with all this, you know, we'll go give them a warning the first time, and then if it would happen again, they'll get charged. That's how it works.
I'd sure like to see a warning issued to this under any circumstance whatsoever. If he's just clueless, maybe he's just out to lunch and doesn't understand what's going on. Sometimes people just have to be told again and again before they finally get it. Other people just simply know better, but they don't care.
I mean, there is such a thing as excessive burning.
Yeah, and there are some people that just let it smolder and you know, and you can put a fire out, all it takes is just a little wire and, you know, water, spread the thing out and do it. So I would like
Yeah,
to
I
see
like it.
Bev and Dale's complaint followed up with the gentleman that's doing that. And if it's not taken care of, we should keep track of those type of things and perhaps consider altering that ordinance altogether. I was real borderline in voting for it in the very first place, so I sure appreciate you folks and coming in and sharing that with us, I really do.
are there any additional comments?
Does it say within 24 hours?
It says opening burning will be allowed between the hours of
Okay.
7 a.m. and 10 p.m.
Curtis?
Just for clarity, what is Bev and Dale, what are their complaints? As you see it, is the fact that they're burning chemicals on the fire, or they're burning out of hours, or in some other way breaking the law? I mean, what's the complaint that you're asking the police to follow up on, sir?
Well, the one I saw or understood from him is burning before the burning ban.
Okay, outside of the,
That's the one,
Outside of
that's
the
the one that
time.
we could do something about.
And the chemical.
If it could be proved, like I said, she didn't
But
see
if
it.
you just go over and smell
Yeah,
oil,
yeah.
that's pretty legitimate, or if it's beyond the hours in the evening that they've got it smoldering, letting it go for a period of time, that's another one. I would be
It says 10
fastidious at
o'clock.
looking for, you know, abuse there.
And you
So
can
just
tell by
to-
the color of the smoke what
Well,
what's in.
it's black coming out. Yeah.
so to be clear, someone who starts fire at 7 o'clock in the morning, puts it out at 10 o'clock at night, burns all day, every day for the entire 2 months is not abusive.
Well, that would be abusive.
I would say it's abusive.
Isn't that allowed?
But it is allowed.
It is allowed, because there's nothing in here that says they can't do it.
There's nothing that says
That's
you
what the
can't
law
change
says
board.
Right,
we are able to do.
pardon me?
That's what the law says we are
It
able to
does
do.
say that in here.
So when considering abuse, that would not be one of the things you would be allowed to consider unless you change that ordinance. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
So if we hear much of that,
I can say what.
That won't take- it won't
I'm right
take
with
much to
Bill.
change it
Wouldn't
into
take much
ordinance.
For me to do a total ban.
yeah.
I'll be happy to take these changes into consideration so
Okay.
that you guys could reconsider it.
Even that one that Curtis mentioned about, it's true, and I thought about that too, is that what's to keep them from
Cause I mean, there are people in town that mow lawns for a living, and they could burn day after day after day, you know, picking up leaves, and, I mean, it's,
You know, and I won't tell the media here, but, you know, I certainly would appreciate any mention by the media of people if they notice or having problems with that, to bring it to the council and any,
Or just call
any-
us.
or any
Call the
publications that we put out to draw to attention. If you have complaints about people with excessive burning, please bring it to the attention of the administrator, and or clerk or the police, and we would certainly like to find those things out. Abuse is certainly what we're dealing with, and if people can't act responsibly, then I think it should be handled and really, yeah, when people abuse other people's health and well-being and willing to live in the city comfortably, when you've got a few bad apples that are willing to abuse that power, I think it's necessary and incumbent that we take it away from everybody. Seriously. Twice?
Okay. If there are no further comments about that, we will move on to item